Go live. There it goes. Good evening, fight fans. I don't know if the intro played. It didn't play on my end, but welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, of course. With me is always my boy K Witz and Mr. Bobby Blunts. It is, boys, it is time. This might be the best card of the year so far. And it is UFC 314, headlined by the returning Alex Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Obviously, Alex took the year off. It's going to be for the vacated featherweight title. As we know, a couple months ago, that Ilya Tapora vacated the title and is moving up to 155. We still don't know what he's doing, whether he's getting a title fight next or what. But we do know that the featherweight division is wide open, and they have now returned to the great Alex Volkanovski and the upstart Diego Lopes to headline this stack card. It did take a slight hit as we were supposed to have Parates and Jeff Neal on the card. Now we know it is going to be Parates and Ian Gary in Kansas City here in a few weeks. So, but boys, this card is absolutely stacked. Whit, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on just the card going into Saturday night from top to bottom?
Well, bro, let's go ahead and give the MMA gods a hand for this one because every once in a while we get a little boring. We get a little boring, we get Apex here, we get a fight night there, and then we go, man. I just can't wait for UFC Noche, or I can't wait for International Fight Week. This is one of those you wake up for and you gotta go watch. Plus, I don't know if you guys know, but my birthday's Sunday. So I'm gonna be celebrating in the middle of this, probably by like 12 o'clock or whatever. But when I look at a couple things, like we got before leading up into the main card, we got the return of Dan Ige. We know he's had some hard times. We know, but we want to see him. We got Nick Reyes, Bryce Mitchell, Patricio Pitbull. I mean, the names are on here. We even got a chance to speak with Iron Mike Chandler this past week. We got to hear his thoughts about his upcoming bout with Paddy Pimblett. And then, of course, we get the return of the great Alexander Volkanovski. And then we get to see the smoker himself, Diego Lopes. Now, somewhere in here, I know what you guys are going to say. I know what are we going to do and how are we going to recover from not seeing, Yair. No, we get Ian Gary. Like, Ian Gary on short notice. So for some reason, he's one of those guys. He gets a
Ian Gary's not on this. He's fighting Kansas City. What are you talking
my
about?
bad. Somehow, some way, we get Patricio Pitbull, and in my mind, we get to see this guy who, in another promotion, has been making waves and kind of sort of is like the evil character to someone else on this card, which is Iron Mike Chandler. So it's got the things that make me want to turn on the TV, and it's got some of the top tier, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got to pay attention to this. So I'm excited to see it. 314 this weekend on Saturday, leading into the 13th, which is the day in which I was born. There we go.
Ah, shit. Well, happy birthday, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, bro.
How old?
Happy birthday.
How old?
Yeah.
I'll be a stunning 37, bro. Stunning 37.
All right. Well, 37. A young pup still. Mr. Bobby Blunts, yeah. Your thoughts on this card, other than just maybe the main event. What strikes you your fancy here on Saturday night?
I mean, this is just simply the one, especially if you compare it to everything else. I mean, I love that we didn't even recap the Apex. That's probably all for the better. Let's save the people some time. Um, Yeah, I mean the entire card is really well built. Even the prelims, you got some really good fights on there. Some up and comers, some people. I don't really have anything negative to really say about this card. Like it's so stacked that even losing Ian Gary fuck me up. Even though it lost Prates and Jeff Neal, which I was very looking forward to. That was like one of my more anticipated fights on the card. It's still really well built. Like if you're gonna lose one fight, you could see that it all ended up surviving in the end. So for me personally, I just hope everything goes off without a hitch with people getting there and stuff like that. So hopefully it delivers, but especially with how everyone has been complaining about the stars and everything like that, I think you definitely really gotta be glad that cards like this still exist. And if this is a snoozer, we're really in for some trouble.
Yeah, shout out to Julia's mom and her aunt. They share the same birthday as you, Whit. So shout out, happy birthday to them.
Julia's mom has got it going on. No, I'm just kidding. But real quick, I just wanted to throw out there somewhere. I didn't even pay it no attention, but I was looking at it. Yang Xiaonan is in the prelims.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
that's
versus
pretty good.
that's the number one contender fight.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
fighting Rojas Jr.
Yeah,
And that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I'm not
Shout out to
saying
Jim Miller.
Rojas and Pierre are the same person, but I'm saying I've never seen them in the same room together.
Right, exactly. Shout out to Uncle Jim Miller on the card somewhere down there too.
Yeah. First of all, I mean this whole card, it's a featherweight. This is like a featherweight Grand Prix on this card, if you really look at it. Sean Woodson and Dan Ige on the prelims, and then you got Bryce Mitchell, John Silva on the a featherweight, and then you got Yair and Patricio featherweight, and then obviously the main event is a featherweight. So like this is a 145 card, down there in Miami. So it's very interesting, like how many featherweights are on, even Darren Elkins and Julia Rosa on featherweight on this card as well. So like this is a featherweight, stacked card here. And
That
I'm
one's
all
my
for it.
favorite fight on the prelims by far.
What's that one?
The Elkins one, that matchup is just going to be enjoyable. I really like how
Elkins
they
versus
built that one.
Rosa. I'm obviously tuning in. Is the on the, I guess it's the main event, the prelims, and that's Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson's been climbing the featherweights. He's 13-1, and he has been on a run here. Obviously, St. Louis zone. So anytime a Missouri guy, is kind of still living in Missouri. I know Mike Chandler's from Missouri, but he doesn't live here no more. He lives in Nashville. He's gone Hollywood on us. But Sean Woodson still lives in St. Louis, fights out of St. Louis. So I was trying to pull up his, I can't remember how many he's won in a row, but he is right there, the slender man. He's kind of climbing here. So maybe, he climbs here, depending, has a good outing against Dan Ige. So I'm all in on Sean Woodson and Dan Ige on the prelims. This card is absolutely just stacked. I mean, the Yan Xiaonan versus Verna, that's a number one, like I said, a number one contender fight. Like this card has a little slice of flavor for everything that you want going in Saturday night. I do want to, before we start breaking down and picking the fights here, I do want to just, Bobby, you mentioned it, clock my recall my brain. The Lerone Murphy fight Saturday. I see there was a lot of hate from Lerone Murphy, for people who hate. What the fuck is Lerone supposed to do? We went in there and he put on a technician fight, just a piece Josh Emmett up. What do you want him to do? You just want him to stand and bang with Josh Emmett, who we saw what he could do. The last time we saw Josh Emmett, he literally made a man have a fucking seizure. Like, you think Lerone Murphy's watching that fight and like, you know what? It's a good idea to stand and bang with Josh Emmett. Not one person has ever really kind of said that. Now, there's been a few that's done it, and they've lost. Like Lerone Murphy did exactly what he was supposed to do. Go in there, stay alive, and win the fight. Like, I'm not mad at that fight. The card itself was shit, but that's not Larone's fault. That's, the UFC's fault. Now they've made up for it. We're out of the Apex, and we're stacked. This is the card when they go to negotiation rights and say, Netflix, this is one of our best cards. This is what we can deliver to you almost every Saturday if you pay the right price. And I think that's what you say. Go ahead, Bobby.
Since you brought it up, I have never heard the Apex that loud at the end of that fight when they were booing him. And like you said, it's not even Lerone Murphy's fault. I think those people were simply booing because they spent like $2,500 to go watch that fight. And I mean, they got nobody to be booing but themselves. Like they should have just, put that on the table if that's how they wanted to, spend their time. Now, the
some
other
people just want to
person,
watch the world burn, Bobby.
yeah, exactly. Heath Ledger. But, there is obviously the elephant in the room of the fight I was most excited for, Mr. One Torres Finney. And I got to say, as boring as that fight was, I do think it is quite a flex to be able to win a fight in the UFC throwing 4 significant strikes. That is almost embarrassing. If you look at, he definitely was in position to throw ground and pound. I mean, that was probably the most frustrated part with it. And I mean, I'm a, Finney guy, and that was pretty rough. But it kind of he had those 3 fights on the Apex or on the Contender, and I don't know. I watched that fight, and my biggest takeaway is you know both of these guys need some time. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Valentine even belongs in the UFC. If you can't, stop that wrestling. But this is kind of what you get, what you pay for. And what I mean by that is this is what the UFC pays for. In reality, this probably should have been on the undercard, but they elevated it to the main card. In the future, I think they'll probably give Finney another shot and put it on the prelims. So hopefully he can, just put some more striking together to set up his stuff. Because I mean, let's not get twisted. He absolutely wrestle fucked him, but that's not going to win over the sickos that watch the Apex.
I made the joke that Dana's going to match him up against Bo Nickel, and Bo Nickel will wrestle fuck him and beat him, and then Finney would get cut. So there's that. Also, while we're on the Finney fight, I just want to say that the judge that had that 30-27 against Finney, I mean, I just want to say, isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Because goddamn Stevie Wonder had to been judging that fight. I know that guy was a boxing judge, and maybe that's the reason. That's the reason he's judging it, because there was no punches thrown. So he's like, well, that guy threw 4 punches, so I got to give it 30-27. Like, that was just a shitty ass judging.
I have never seen more like I had the same reaction initially, but then after looking into it, like, yeah, he does, referee some boxing and stuff, but he's judged MMA for a long time. So to me, that was nothing more than a protest vote of, yeah, I ain't fucking with this. Like, you lost on all 3 of my scorecards, which,
I ain't here to judge no fucking wrestling
it's
contest.
give it enough time, and I feel like the UFC will implement things like that. So we're just kind of seeing it play out. But yeah, I think it's best we just move on and leave it in the
You got something to
past.
say about any of last week before we start this week?
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna throw this out there, man. So I was also a proponent of seeing Torres Finney. I cannot lie. I was excited to see the young man make his debut. And let me say this. You were right, Bobby. The crowd was the loudest you've heard in the Apex in a long time. You know what got me when Torres Finney was out there in the first couple rounds, and it doesn't matter what color you are, whether you're white or black. When you hear somebody yell, "Get him, nephew! Get him, nephew! Get him out of there!" it makes you go just a little bit harder, okay? Just a little bit harder.
Throw some punches, nephew. Throw some punches, nephew.
That's what he should have said. But for some reason, man, Therese stuck to the game plan, and they were saying it throughout the broadcast, like, let's give my guy Finland some props. He was out there doing what he probably had practiced doing. My guy Robert Valentine, he didn't stay on the mat long. But what I don't like is that the start of that third round was when he did the thing that I thought he should have did the first 2 rounds. He's a striker. He's going to Thailand. He's practicing with guys for Muay Thai. He's doing this. He's doing that. I ain't see none of that shit, bro. I mean, somewhere in Muay Thai,
he was throwing them down.
But even in that, bro, there's a strike. To lead off each round, punching them in the face would have been my thought. But he did it. He did it in the third. And then, of course, what's my guy? The not the judge, but the referee. I can't think of his name at the moment. They after a while, he was like, "Look, man, I'm tired of this. Y'all start standing up. Period. Just start, please. Let him go. Get off the fence. Stand up for like 3 minutes, and let's see what happens." And every time he separated him, he landed some strikes to the face, which made Finney go back and revert to the wrestling. But in the end, did the right man win? Possibly so. Damn, they could have been split down the middle. And then going up to the Lerone Murphy, Josh Emmett fight. Yeah, man. What y'all think was gonna happen? That boy ain't dumb. The boy's not slow, nor retarded. Oh, sure, I can't say that on TV. But y'all know what I mean. Josh Emmett would have took his block off.
You could say it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, but
yeah.
Josh Emmett would have
wanted him to go fishing, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's.
And to me, and it still was competitive, even though it was not exciting. It was competitive. We got to see a little bit of blood on the head of Josh Emmett. We saw Lerone Murphy do make a spectacle of striking to stay away and also to engage when he was in close. We saw Josh Emmett even do something different than he's done. We haven't seen him to do as many takedowns in one fight before. So I think this was like the first time he's thrown more than 4 in 2 years or something crazy.
Josh Emmett was trying to wrestle, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it shows you that you can teach an old dog new tricks, but in this end, on this end, Lerone Murphy didn't come across the pond and take no L in Vegas, bro. That's not what happened. But hey, he keeps the 0 behind his name. Let's see what they throw at him next, and maybe we can we please get something fun out of that division? Let's not throw wrestlers in there all of a sudden. Let's get something fun.
Well, we're about to have a fun weight because that was featherweights, and we're staying with the featherweights on this card. Real quick on Lerone Murphy. So I saw a thing on Twitter, or I don't know. I saw a meme. It was kind of a meme, but it was kind of true. It's like 145. You have your Leon Edwards. It was Lerone Murphy. I was like, that's kind of true. So
it's similar career arc because he's someone I view him as a contender.
Yeah.
His problem is 145 is on fire. Probably the most stacked division in the UFC. Oh, and it just got better because they signed Aaron Pico. This division is just going to be so many good interchangeable fights, which, perfect segue to 314.
Exactly. Good call, Bobby. That's a good segue. Let's start with UFC 314. We'll start at the bottom of the card, and it is none other than one of the few, not a 145 fight, but a light heavyweight fight, and it is none other than Nikita Krylov. Is that how you say it? Krylov versus Dominic Reyes at light heavyweight. Krylov is 30-9. He's won 3 in a row. He is the number 8th ranked light heavyweight. He is the favorite at minus 180. Dominic Reyes is 14-4. He has won 2 in a row after those 4 straight losses. So he seems to be working his way back. Reyes is ranked number 11 as he's trying to climb back the ladder. Remember, this is a guy who took John Jones to the limit. Seems so many years ago. One time he would have told you about it. Now I feel like he's kind of let it go. Reyes is the dog at plus 150. Bobby, I'll start with you. How do you see the opener of this card going?
Yeah, so this is the one that got elevated to the main card when Pratis fell out there, and I think, all due respect, but it probably would have served a lot better on the prelims when you look at how the rest of the prelims were stacked up. Because it looks kind of bizarre to me when I like look at it on the main card. Like you could tell it was like elevated to it. But
Yeah.
that's being said, that's the fight. I think a lot of people have forgotten about Krylov. I mean, when was the last time he even fought? I think he's been out for a little bit.
He
Um,
fought Span. I had it. Hold up. Now I gotta look it up again. He fought. I know they both fought Darren Span, or what is it? Ryan Span. Ryan Span.
Ryan Span. Yeah, I mean, dude, Cruz is or he's really had some Reyes, I mean, has had some really ups and downs. Like you said, you mentioned the John Jones stuff. He's almost like he's those two wins, the first one at least was a really like feel good win because you just kind of wanted to see him get a win. But Krylov is definitely no punk, and I think stylistically, he's a little bit kind of more well suited for this type of matchup. But at the same time, I could see, if it does go more towards decision, Reyes maybe drop it around and then coming back and winning 2 and 3. But if I have to pick this, I'll probably lean Krylov just because I think he'll have a little bit more immediate success in the early round. But would kind of love to see Cruz continue to, or keep calling him Cruz. God, don't know why I must have Dominic Cruz on my mind from that horrid
That's why
Apex
Dominic
card.
Reyes, Dominic
Yeah,
Cruz. Yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah. But I do think Reyes has a pretty decent chance to kind of roll back the clock and keep getting up there. Anyone that's ranked in this division can easily get a win over the other person. So I feel kind of bad picking against him, but I'll probably have to go Krylov here.
Yeah. So you asked when last time Krylov fought. It's been over a year. Last fought March 11th, 2023. Before that, he had 3 fights
My
in
birthday.
he that was the Jan Javash Marab fight night. And then, but he had 3 fights in 2022, so he was active before that. So I don't know what happened. He's won 3 in a row against Gustafsson, Otismere, and Span. How do you see the opening fight here on the pay-per-view going?
Well, me, man. I'm looking at a couple things at the same time. So, just like we said, Tapology, man, both guys, just a little bit of a separation in terms of what's going on. So, Tapology's got, our guy Dominic Cruz slash Reyes at plus 165, and then Nikita Krylov at minus 195, a moderate favorite. Right now, 1,578 people on Tapology are going with Reyes, but it's close. It's so close. He's pretty much edging him. It's 51% to 49, but it is exceedingly clear that people think that Reyes will win by knockout. For me, man, this is one of those where I feel like the experience of Reyes, even though he's on them 2 fight win streaks. He just beat Anthony Smith. He beat the old. I don't want to call Anthony Smith the old man, but he's the wily veteran. He's
Well,
the
if you
Marine.
remember, Anthony Smith didn't offer anything in that fight. Remember, that was the fight his coach or his friend
Give me
died.
something.
And he just kind of was I just need to feel pain, and then just Reyes just kind of beat the brakes off of him.
Right? Yeah.
Entire division's old.
This is that was the Anthony Smith, as the old Marine who won't put the M16 down. We understand, but in essence, he hasn't had tough competition. Because I'm not going to say that the Justin Jacoby fight, 9 months ago wasn't a good one. I think I got a chance to watch that one. But for me, is Reyes going to bring his A game into this one when Krylov, of course, has had a little bit of time off fighting Ryan Span and won by triangle choke. And then at Volkan Oldesmere, unanimous decision. It's 2 years ago, and then Gustafson is 2 years and 8 months. Like that's a long time. Ring rust to me is a reality. You know what I mean? But Dominic Reyes / Cruz does have the acumen to win and pull this one off. I think we get a Reyes victory. And I'm more so thinking of a win by decision. You know what I mean? I think that the two of them having kind of teetered around the not winning / winning, having poor competition in the ring, not necessarily being active for the almost 2.5 years. I think this plays into like a bit of like passive aggressiveness where neither one of them want to go in there and get it. You know what I'm saying? Where neither one really wants to go at it full strength, and because they're going to be nervous about overcompensating and somebody maybe landing a strike on either one. But I see Reyes. I'm more confident in his ability to strike. I'm more confident in his ability to actually wrestle if necessary. So I'm thinking Dominic Reyes in this one, but not by no crazy margin or anything. Like maybe split decision.
Yeah, so our guy Rob Thomas here says, I double clicked it here. You know what? The world has not been right since Dominic Reyes lost to John Jones in February 2020. Are we living in an alternate timeline and the only thing that will reset is Dom wins the title? You know what? Maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe we all need to start rooting for Dominic Reyes to win the title. Life goes back to normal. So a lot of people feel like he did win that fight. Like I just felt like up until recently, every time he fought in interviews, he always talked about it. I think he's finally dropped that. I feel like he's not talking about it or isn't hung up on it as much anymore. I feel like so.
And I'm gonna say this before we go on. The idea is, in order to beat the champ, you had to have beaten the champ. It was a good fight. Don't get me wrong. He did his best effort, but that's not good enough to win against judges who don't know nothing else except for John Jones winning. You had to take John out. You had to embarrass him. You had to make him look old. He was out. He was on the way to thinking that he was going to be a heavyweight right then, and he could have did it. But somewhere in there, the once again that word passive aggressiveness, seeing John Jones from across the octagon probably took over and said, I don't want to risk getting knocked out because I think I got enough on points. And then boop, just like that, he did not win the fight.
Yeah. I mean, now here we are 5 years later, and he's got to work his way back again. You know what? My heart kind of leads wants Reyes to win. My head kind of says Krylov, but I'm going to pick with my heart here. I think Dom can get the finish. If you look at his fights, I know he went 5 rounds with Jones. He's it's kill or be killed. Like it's first or second round knockouts every time for Dominic Reyes, whether he's the one knocking somebody out or getting knocked out. I think he can get the knockout here. I'm going to say a second round knockout. The Dominator, baby. Let's go. I don't know. Is that his nickname? I know that's Dominic Cruz's Dominic name. Is that Reyes' nickname? Are they both Dominators?
I mean, I can't even fully pronounce his first name, so I'm not the person asking the nickname, probably.
Dominic Cruz, Dominic Reyes,
it's the Devastator. The Devastator.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't win a fight on your back foot for 25 minutes.
Devastator, Terminator, Ventilator. Dominic Reyes in 3.
You got Reyes too. You got the Dominator or the Destroyer. I don't know what the hell I just said.
Yeah, I'm the asshole going with the Russian, I guess.
You hate America, Bobby.
I wouldn't go that far.
We got what's up, MMA Homie Podcast. Check out my guys. They also put up a great MMA podcast. So check them out on their stuff as well. Make sure you like, subscribe to the homies over there as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get into the next fight. To me, Mike Chandler said him and Patty is the fight, the people's main event. Not to me. I'm all in on this. This is the people's main event. Like we already got the first presser. I can't wait till tomorrow night to see what the second presser is going to be like, because the first presser, by God, Bryce and John Silva just going at it. The whole globe, the everything, the dog barking, the fuck Bryce Mitchell chants. You boys know it's like pro wrestling to me, and I'm all in it. So they sold me on this fight just off that first presser. Probably going to sell me more tomorrow night. To me, this is the people's main event, and it's none other than Bryce Mitchell, who is 17-3, is the dog at plus 210, taking on John Silva at 15-2, who's 5-0 in the UFC, undefeated. This is his biggest step of competition in Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell did say he felt like this is the biggest fight of his life on Saturday night. Is against John Silva, who is the favorite weight at minus 260. What do you think of this fight here? To me, the people's main event. I'm stoked for this fight.
I'm with you, bro. I can't even lie about it, man. We got an opportunity to talk about a Bryce Mitchell fight. I think a couple of months ago. Thug Nasty. The nickname says it all for me. In my mind, somehow, some way, if you call yourself Thug Nasty, you gotta be about something. And the thing is, 9 times out of 10, the people that are named anything Thug didn't call themselves that. Somebody else did. But this is really high class, high water top of competition right now going against John Silva. We know what the camp is. We know what's really going on. It's fighting nerds in the building, baby. 5 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins since 2023. I think somewhere in here we have to give John Silva his respect. And right now, as I look at Tapology, 3,304 people are definitely shining the knob of John Silva, so to speak, as they think that 77% of them believe that he will win by knockout. I don't know. I am on the fence about this one. I feel like the competition level for Thug Nasty is stepping up. He is deserving of a shot in this type of era or realm of competition, so to speak. But John Silva ain't playing no games, bro. That game we watched, not that game, sorry. That match I got to watch. I remember the Drew Dober.
2 months ago. I mean, put dude out cold and just kind of pointed at him, and
right,
like,
yeah, Milsic, yeah, that one was done for, and it's a month or so later, no damage done. We know what's happening, and they got it on to the day. It's 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 days. I've never seen that on Tapology. It's specifically for him. But then I remember the Drew Dober, Doctor Stoppage, get him out of here. You know what I'm saying? This is a violent man, and when he puts his hands on you, he means business. I feel like Bryce Mitchell can make the best of it, but the fighting nerds will prevail once again somehow in this fight. John Silva continues. Let's get a 6-fight win streak on. It slides up, and right now, right, I'm looking at Silva,
and put him
and
in the rankings after this. Bryce is 13, so if he beats Bryce.
He's going up. He's gonna get somewhere between what you think, maybe 12, 10, somewhere in there. And make some noise. So yeah, John Silva for me with the win. Bro, I love Bryce Mitchell. I wouldn't be surprised if this somehow ends up going to the bell, to the final bell. But John Silva for me has been almost unstoppable looking since we got a chance to witness it. So I don't think it stops here against Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, Witt said it, Bobby. Obviously, John Silva's part of the maybe the hottest camp there is in the fighting nerds. Bryce Mitchell, his last 5, he's lost one. Like his rotated wins and losses. He is coming off the win against what's his name
from
Brazil. His daddy and all that. Yeah, Gracie. Thanks. That's the word I was looking for. But off of Gracie family. But Bryce, since that fight's kind of said some things that people weren't happy with, and now the UFC is going to be like, hey, we're going to send the guy maybe to assassinate him.
Yeah, and I think that's the misconception.
You think so?
Absolutely. Because I think this is much more seeing where John Silva is at. Because, like, if he literally can get by and win this fight, I think title aspirations are very realistic. Because I know when everything happened, and obviously he called for the fight, and he was, vocalizing it. Hey, give me Bryce Mitchell, give me Bryce Mitchell, and everyone's like, oh, he called him out. They're not going to do that. They never do that. Well, they did it, and when everyone did it, the growing sentiment was, oh, they're feeding him to the wolves. And I definitely get that from like a power sense when, you've seen the Josh Emmett knockout, obviously, him putting him down and he took it. But, you know, if you throw the Crone Gracie fight out, which I practically do, but, like let's look at Dan Ige, for example. The first time when, that was the time he brought the Bible into the octagon and screamed freedom when Joe Martinez was interviewing him. And that was a pretty brutal fight. He essentially beat Dan Ige with one eye. Like
Yeah.
he was, pretty blind and he kept shooting for the takedown. I think he ended up like shooting like 15 takedowns or something like that. I mean, he obviously didn't land all of them, but those positions that he is able to get when he's able to, switch guard just so effortlessly, that's the type of stuff I'm going to be looking for if this actually goes to the ground. Now, in the Jourdain fight, Jourdain, Bryce or uh, da, 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 John Silva just had to keep him from like holding him on the fence and stuff. But I would expect Bryce Mitchell to be shooting a lot more traditional takedowns and stuff and not necessarily relying on the fence to get him down. So it's really just going to come down to Silva's takedown defense, He is the Brazilian. I mean, obviously, the fighting nerds put in grappling time. We just know Silva and Prates a little bit more for the striking. So I really could see it either way. Like if the dog mask was in my possession, I might have to actually put it on. But
Woo.
fortunately, it isn't.
I do think Bryce is a
Um,
live dog. I do think Bryce is a live dog. Like I would
yeah,
throw some money on Bryce Mitchell.
like the line to me, like Silva should at most be like a 2-1, maybe minus 250. But when you have those type of sensational knockouts, it's obviously going to influence the betting line, and that's probably what they're planning on. Especially when we have seen Bryce Mitchell get knocked out before. Now, when I went back to the Ilya Taporia fight, that is when Bryce Mitchell would definitely, you'd see him kind of put his chin out there a little bit more to initiate these takedowns. And that is definitely where I think Silva could take advantage of it and, once again, get one of these viral KOs. But, if the fight ends up being like the first round of it is on the ground, like a big part of me almost wants that to happen because I really want to know the answer to what John Silva is. And we're not going to get that if he flatlines Mitchell in a round. Like, I want to see him go through some adversity, maintain that power, and still be able to put him out. So will he be able to do that? Because I definitely think it's inevitable. Bryce is going to be able to get the fight to the ground at some point. So
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves. Like you said, Bobby, Bryce Mitchell, like for what it's worth, like Bryce was on a run before he ran into Ilya Taporia. Like that was like a kind of like a top contender spot, and he lost to Ilya in a was some Ilya submitted him. Like they were both undefeated at the point in the UFC. Like he had beaten some guys, Edwin Barbosa, Andre Fili. Like he had beaten, like was on a run in the UFC, up until the Ilya fight, and then he obviously bounces
he was
back with
having success in the Ilya fight too.
then he bounces back with the Dan Ige win by decision, and obviously gets sent to another dimension by Josh Emmett. I think people look at, like you're saying, the last two fights, where especially the Emmett fight, where we've watched one powered hitter knock his ass out into another dimension, And then we saw John Silva knock out a guy into another dimension. And, the Kron Gracie fight it is what it is. It's not like Kron didn't offer anything to Bryce in that fight. So I think that's why the odds are the way they are. Not saying it's the right odds, but I do feel like Bryce is a live dog.
Yeah, no, agree with everything you said there. I mean, it's when you put everything on the plate, you can kind of see like where they got to this line, but at the same time, you could definitely see avenues of him winning. Like I would have to imagine him winning by submission would be very similar to the money line in the fight, because I think most people would think he'd win by sub. But I think the deciding factor in it, and granted, he claims that they've gone away, but when it was like a week, I'm not sure if it was a week after or like a day after the press conference or what, but like Mitchell made that video saying
Yeah,
that he need people to pray for him because he's
yeah.
having trouble getting sleep and stuff like that. And some people can like use that
Demons,
as
brother.
motive.
This boy is carrying demons. I need
Yeah.
you to pray for me, because, brother, this man has got demons after me. I cannot sleep at night after that. This man is demon. I need Jesus, and I need all my prayers to be answered for me.
Amen. All my prayer warriors, get your Bibles.
Yeah, and like if he comes out with the Bible, I mean, it's gonna be I'm gonna be even more worried. Like it's crazy because like in any other scenario, hearing that type of stuff would just be enough for to be like, no, he's just gonna get dusted. There's no way he's not focused on it and stuff. But he can he can tell himself whatever he wants to believe and try to put that in the octagon. So, like, if he thinks everything is fine, well, maybe in his head it is, and all that stuff is really just side noise. He definitely knows what he needs to do to win this fight. So, but I don't know. Spoiler alert. I was thinking about possibly going against a fighting nerd against Neil on this card, but I don't think I can break the trend now for this one. So though I don't really feel good about it, give me John Silva by knockout.
Uh, so, real quick before I make my pick here, Rob says he hopes Silva comes out dressed like a demon.
Or like some super satanic music or
Yeah,
something. Like do
yeah,
do something to get it. But that'll
yeah.
just make him like say a prayer in the octagon,
Right.
which is gonna
I'm
happen,
intrigued. I
win or
can't wait
lose.
for tomorrow, because the first press conference that we saw was like just the back and forth, and I mean, I thought John Silva was getting under Bryce's skin. Bryce dressed up in his Kmart special, his Sunday best, and John was kind of going at him a little bit. So
But
I
when
think,
he did say, "You're barking up the wrong tree, motherfucker,"
yeah,
all I thought about was him just grappling the shit. I'm like, oh God, he very well could be. Like,
yeah,
Listen,
I,
man, as a man who's grown up in South Carolina, when the wrong guy says you're barking up the wrong tree, sometimes you got to pay attention to that shit. Okay, so it's a possibility he's on a mission to on Saturday, and that fight nerd stuff might
I
mean
think
nothing to him.
a lot of it's going to be who can keep their composure, to me, it going in. You know what I mean? Like, Silva seems like he's just kind of a madman a little bit at the same time. But he seems like in the cage keeps his composure. Like, we saw, he kept his composure and was like pointing the dude after he knocked out, like telling the ref, like, this dude's fucking dead. Don't make me throw another punch at him. So I'm not saying like he gets out of, but just outside the octagon, in the pre-fight, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm all in tomorrow night. I'm all in for it. I'm make a clean sweep. I'm all in on John Silva, but if I was still in a state that would let me legalize legal gambling, I'd put a flyer on. I'd put some money on Bryce, because I think he could do it. So, but give me John Silva tomorrow night or Saturday night. Let's get into another featherweight fight. Is the third fight on the card. It is none other than the former interim featherweight champion, Yair Rodriguez, who's 20-5. He has lost his last 2 in a row, just to Volkan and Ortega. So it's not like he's, losing to, scrubs out there. But he is taking on, making his UFC debut, Patricio Pitbull, baby. Patricio is 36-7, obviously making his very first fight in the UFC octagon. Patricio is plus 160 here. Bobby, I'll go back to you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the line might be age related. He is, older than Yair. Um, it's such a trip because when you said Yair was in the interim champ, I rewatched that fight last night with him and Volk, and like when they did the graphic, it like I completely forgot they, put the interim title on him because
Yeah, he
the
beat
whole
Josh Emmett.
Islam fight and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like that, it's just so I call it the apex brain. Like there's those things that happened a few years ago, you like completely forgot. It's like, oh yeah, he is a champion, but
Yeah.
he actually is fighting he's also fighting a former champion. And I don't think, no offense to Mike Chandler, but I don't think it's a hot take to say that, Pitbull is probably, Bellator's best fighter of, the entire like run of it. You could compare some like up and coming, like younger prospects that have also had success that we're getting excited about. But he's definitely battle tested. The matchup kind of reminds me a lot of Yair and Volk a little bit. Like when you look at the height and reach advantage and stuff like that. So you know, this is kind of the UFC. They don't give you any easy fights coming in. I don't know why they couldn't have just done like Pitbull versus Aldo or something, that was a little bit less killerish. But at the same time, I would assume Pitbull wouldn't want a easy matchup anyways. Actually, it's disrespectful to Aldo. You get what I mean, like age wise and stuff.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I do think Pitbull will kind of use that Volk fight as a blueprint of what he needs to do. Yair definitely puts out more striking output, so I could definitely see Yair having success with overall damage. But I don't know if it's just because I've been fighting for Pitbull to get out of his. PFL or whatever the hell you want to call him, contract and stuff like that. But I definitely want to see him start things off with a victory. But it's definitely not going to be an easy one. But all that being said, give me Pitbull because I think if he wins this, he can easily catapult up into the rankings. And, we were already talking about that division being stacked. And now you're adding guys from other divisions, the best guys from those organizations. 145 is just going to keep getting juicier and juicier. So, give me Pitbull there, but I could definitely see why he is the underdog in that fight.
I mean, they're definitely treating Pitbull like he's the Mike Chandler. Like Mike Chandler came in and fought like a top 5 guy. So they're very, he's going to be on the similar path. If he wins this fight, he might be one fight away from fighting in the title. And his age is going to say he needs to hurry up at that age. What about you here in the debut of, Pitbull?
I'm on the same team as Bobby, man. Look, man, when you start adding the best of the best from other promotions, and I'm not just talking about like the average guy. No, I'm talking about a perennial top 5 fighter in a division, 145. We got to put Pitbull in there. Yeah, we got Iron Mike Chandler. We sure did. And Mike Chandler has been Mike Chandler has been battle tested since his inception into the UFC. And to a degree, he has not done any wrong. He's had tough competition where he's lost. He's had some close things where he's won, where he's been either won or been extremely close to winning. I think that the Pitbull comparison, especially due to his age, is more so based around the ability that we saw, not what he can do right now. And I think what he can do right now is come into this 145 and smoke some cats at the bottom. You know what I mean? It's really set up for him to drop, possibly. And I'm not saying this, you know, I'm not saying this as if to poo poo on Yair, because Yair Rodriguez is an up and coming. Yair Rodriguez is somebody that I look at as to say, hey, this is what you could have, or could be a guy that is the face. You know what I'm saying? Especially, with that Mexican heritage, it's a big thing. But
I mean, he's the guy who's fought who's who. You know what I mean? He's been in the
yeah,
UFC a long time.
he's had some of the his last five. Like, look at this: Max, Brian Ortega, Josh Emmett, Volk, and then Ortega again. So, when we go look at Pitbull, and I know some of these names might not be as recognizable, but Kibra Koki, Sergio Pettis, everybody knows the Pettis brothers. Chichiro Suzuki, and then Jeremy Kennedy. Suzuki and Kennedy Suzuki was a close one up until he got knocked out. No fronts. I did get a chance to kind of review the tape on that one in particular, but the Jeremy Kennedy one, pure, insane, regular Pitbull, and that's what we want to see in the ring in the UFC fight. 36 years old. There's nobody else except for one person who's pushing 40 or past 40 that's scary right now. And his name is Joel Romero. He is not in the UFC. So his timeline to push the envelope starts on Saturday, and he has to begin with a win. So this is what I'm saying. I'm going to run with the Pitbull on this one. Yair is going to take this on the chin. He's going to learn a lesson from it. He's going to lose 3 in a row. He's going to go back to the drawing board. But I think Pitbull comes in, and this is not a sleeper. This is not a sleeper on this one. I'm just saying, Pitbull comes in. He does what he's supposed to do, and gets him up out of there. And right now, Tapology has 3,787 people going with him at 71%, and that 71% is going with Pitbull by decision. I kind of can rock with that, in my opinion. I feel like this is another one where they're going to be two guys just a little tentative to go toe to toe and kind of get that scrap on, because Yair could land one, but we know Pitbull could land one. So Yair is probably going to pay just careful enough to keep him at arm's reach, and then we could see Pitbull, win based on landing significant strikes, maybe a couple takedowns as well. But I'm going Pitbull on this one for the opening debut. And I can't wait to see what he says at the end of the fight.
Yeah, so like we were talking about, Mike, there's been a couple guys like even have just recently that have come over from like Bellator or PFL, whatever, that have had some sort of like a name to them, right? And they've all actually won. We talked about Mike Chandler, MVP. I think his debut was in Miami actually against Kevin Holland a little over a year ago, and he won that fight. RDR. I know he didn't come from PFL, but he came from, I believe, One or Ryzen, one of the two. And he won his debut. So like, it's not like, so they are going out and getting these top level guys, and these top level guys are taking advantage of the opportunities they are given in here in their debut in the UFC. Patricio has fought, like Whit said, the who's who, and so is Yair. Yair's been in the UFC for like damn near 10 years almost. Has fought literally the who's who, you name it, in that featherweight. And I am inclined. There is a guy, another Pitbull at 305, Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide. He represents Miami, and I think Patricio Pitbull will represent and win in Miami on Saturday night as well. Give me Pitbull, baby. I think Whit's right, though. I think it's going to be a decision. I really do. I don't feel like there's I think Yair's tough. Both of them are tough. So give me the decision by Pitbull here. We get into the co-main event. It is our own, Mr. Audio Mike. Go ahead, Bob. You got something?
Your own. Go.
Oh, yeah, our friend, Audio Mike Chandler, aka Mr. Iron Mike Chandler, on the co-main event. This is he's had a few losses, trying to bounce back and get in the win column, and he's taking on the surging Paddy Pimblett. Paddy's on a run, obviously undefeated in the UFC. Patty is the favorite at minus 155. Mike Chandler, the dog at plus 130. Whit, how do you like this co-main event? It's a kind of a matchup of styles. We know Mike wants to stand and bang, while Patty, he'll. I don't know if he doesn't really like to bang. He could take it on the ground. Obviously, he's a big jiu-jitsu guy and would submit you. But this is obviously his biggest test of his career.
Yeah, exactly right, man. Paddy Pimblett. We've seen Paddy the Baddy grow in the past maybe 4 or 5 years, man. And I'm happy to say, like, I've liked to see his progression. The last fight against King Green, we saw a triangle choke. Didn't expect to see that coming. Tony Ferguson, unanimous decision. Tony was on the end of the end of his own rope. He was just tired, waiting for somebody to kick the chair from up under him. Jared Gordon, decision. Jordan, leave it. I saw that one, rear naked. Here we go. Rodrigo Vargas, rear naked. Is there a pattern in here? Are we seeing Patty exert himself more in a dominant fashion on the ground, whereas people are coming into the ring wanting to take him out via striking, and he's tricking them into thinking, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to fight and we're going to slug it out and blah, blah, blah. And in the end, Patty somehow gets you on your back, gets arms around your neck, and the fight ends. This, for me, is the, like, what's a good word? Like a milestone. Can Patty pass this milestone? We've seen him do really well and then admittedly go, I really don't care sometimes. I really honestly want to eat pizza and Cheetos and drink soda and be a regular guy. Right, yeah, fight it light heavyweight. Like, we've seen it, and somewhere in his banter, you can look him in the eye and say, yo, he's serious. Sometimes you don't care. But when we get the best version of Paddy Pimblett, it's a scary thing. But there's a but in this. Mike Chandler is not here to play, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes you got to go up in there and you got, like, at a job. I don't know. Has you guys ever worked at a plant before? I know Botkins was in the military. And he's relatively smart and stuff, so he might never really had to work in a plant for long or whatever. But Bobby, you ever worked in a plant before? Had to wear steel toe boots, that type of thing?
I've worn steel toe boots,
Yeah, I've
but
worked
not a
construction
plant.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So you know how it is when you're on those type of jobs. You want to get close to the old guy who's been around so he can show you how to not get fired. This is that for Patty. And to me, I feel like that we could actually find a way for him to lose. He could find a way to lose this fight, is my point. Michael Chandler could easily put on display one of his best, not just striking, but wrestling and grappling expositions that we've seen. I'm really waiting on the real Mike Chandler to show up. You know what I mean? And as we go to look back at what he's done, I mean, where did he go wrong? Justin Gaethje, we saw what happened with that. Unanimous decision. Left hook got taken out by Oliveira. What happened? Dustin Poirier, submission, rear naked. Charles Oliveira, decision. Like, where does he go wrong? And you know what I think he goes wrong at? Not doing what we know him for. If you are going to go against Paddy the Baddy, if you're going to go up in there and he's going to be doing his thing, you got to be prepared to stop that jiu-jitsu. You got to be prepared to stop the scramble. You got to be prepared to stop the wrestling. If you can combat that, there's a possibility you get Paddy in a bad spot. And you do the Mike Chandler thing. You show us what you're talking about. We meet you at the top, like you said, And for some reason, I think this is the one where we get to see Mike Chandler actually execute on the things that he's saying. I love Patty the Batty. I love Patty Pamela. I love what he stands for. I love the crowd cheering. I love the Scousers don't get knocked out. I know all of that good stuff. But somewhere in there, you got to see the old man, bro. Come see the old man. You want to clock out? You want to clock in? You want to know how to make this thing work? You know what I'm saying? You want to use the miter saw without supervision? Come see the old man. And I think this is the one that somehow, some way, Mike Chandler pulls out of the. You know what I'm saying? There's always that one. You're trying to cut a corner. You're trying to make the corner meet, and then you're doing it wrong. Let me show you how to do it. And he pulls out, one tool that you didn't see before. And then you go, how long have you had that in your tool belt, old man? He goes, forever. And he wins with that tool that we haven't seen in a long time, which could be the wrestling, which could be his ground striking. And I think we get Iron Mike Chandler win over some good competition. And I'm riding. I'm sticking with that one, even though it sounds crazy. I know I gave Patty all that love, but somehow I'm riding with Mike. I think in reality, this is going to be the button that he needs pushed so that he can actually do what he does best. So we can see the best version of Mike Chandler probably since he came into the UFC. But yeah, that's just me, man. Mike Chandler.
You got Iron Mike winning.
Mike Chandler by decision, bro. Straight like that. Mike Chandler by decision.
Bobby, Iron Mike Chandler hasn't won in 3 years. The last win was that Tony Ferguson, his only win, I guess you could say, in the UFC, was the kick to Tony Ferguson, May 7th, 2022. So it's
he knocked out Hooker in his debut too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah. Second win. You're right. So he's 2-4 in the UFC. But his last win was May 7th, 2022. Now, he obviously did sit out, waiting for his beloved Connor to hopefully make a return. And by God, we'll probably see that win or lose on Saturday night. But, your thoughts here on the Scouser versus Chandler?
Oh, man. I mean, how do I even start this? All right. So I think it will go down in history that Chandler taking the tough will by far be one of the most detrimental things done to a career, because I just don't know if you can make up that time when being out. And frankly, the Oliveira fight, for example, like the last fight he was in, he looked terrible in that fight.
He had one good moment. That was the 5th round.
Yeah. And the entire time, all it showed was him, he was, avoiding takedowns by reaching out of the cage. And Oliveira was almost taking him down mercifully. I do think, Patty kind of said it best. He's a good all division wrestler, but when implementing it with MMA and striking, his takedown defense doesn't really seem to be there. And I do think Patty is taking this extremely seriously. From what I've looked into, he's now lifting weights, has a nutritionist. I don't think he's getting his bulky out of camp and stuff. So if he's already my biggest issue with Patty in this fight is going to be his cardio. And all of the work that I've seen outside the cage, I think will improve the
Is this
cardio.
5 rounds? Is this 5 rounds or is it 3?
It is 5 rounds, and I think that is going to be a real big factor. But realistically, I do think it could be a scenario just like the Oliveira fight, where Chandler, has a rallying good 5th round or something like that. But I do think Patty does have the grappling skills. A lot of people will say, "Hey, Oliveira wasn't able to submit him for in 25 minutes." He controlled him the entire fight. And I think Patty will be able to do that if it comes to it. Now, obviously, the Chandler's biggest way of winning this fight would be in the striking. Like, that is definitely where I would say Chandler does have the edge on Patty. But, you know, Witt said he's waiting on him to use his brain. And I'm kind of looking at him like when he gets in the octagon, he's the scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. Like he does not use his brain. And like, you're telling me that in Miami, in a crowd, like he's instantly just gonna say, "Hey, it's time for me to shoot that takedown." Like for one, I wouldn't even grapple with Patty in this one. I would keep it standing. But I think Patty is gonna want to do the grappling. So I don't know. Like, obviously, this is MMA, but I do think the age, the time out of the octagon, like, I know for a fact Patty has improved and gotten better. I cannot say that about Mike Chandler, especially after watching his last fight against Oliveira. So, to be honest, I thought the line would be a little flipped. Like, I thought Chandler would be the slight favorite, and Patty would be the slight underdog. But I don't know if people are just judging it off the last. Granted, Patty is a fan favorite, so he is going to bring some public money. But I don't know. I do believe that Patty has all of the tools to defeat Michael Chandler, and I believe besides slipping on a banana peel, we will see that on Saturday, and I would expect Patty to win.
Yeah, so the age thing is Chandler's 38, Patty's 30. So Patty's just kind of entering the prime of his career here. And, Chandler is 38. So he's kind of at the end of it. I'm kind of with you, Bobby. If I'm Mike Chandler, I want to try to keep this thing. I want to keep this thing standing. You know what I mean? I want to see the hands of Patty. If I'm Patty, I want to try to take this to the ground and submit him, but maybe Patty feels pretty good standing up as well. So with that being said, I'm going with Patty to Patty, Patty to Patty. Patty's going to be ranked in the top 5 or so right after this one. He could be one away. This is the biggest fight of his career so far on Saturday night, and I think this is Chandler's last. If you lose this, I don't know where you go from here if you lose this for Mike Chandler.
I mean, they'll have plenty of fights to give him, but like going back to Witt's point, if the Oliveira fight was not on tape, because that is when we broke that fight down, that is exactly what Witt said is what I was asking him to do. And he did none of that. So it's how many more times can I be like, Michael Chandler, you can win this. You just gotta fight smart. And granted, this might
he does it in flashes. You go back to the Dustin Poirier fight, there was a whole round where he just out wrestled Dustin and and Dustin, he's kind of blowing his nose on Dustin and bleeding all over him. But he won that whole round, and was just doing the right things. And it's just then it goes out the window,
It's I think the thing is mentally, Michael Chandler wants to be exciting for the UFC fans. He's going. Yeah. He's literally saying to himself, "This is God. We got to make this great. Not let's win the fight, but I'm going to make this a great one. You know what I mean?" And I think that's why he gets so much grace from the bookmakers, from Dana. We've seen him. We said, this is 2 fights and then a loss, 2 fights and then a win, then 2 more losses, and then his entrance. You know what I'm saying? But each time we see him, we're going, "Oh, is this the one he's gonna do what we know him for? Is this the one he's gonna break out the cards?" You know what I'm saying? And once again, I can compare it to working with someone and actually needing them to do something, and finally them showing you a technique that they have been hiding or keeping to themselves. So I'm excited to see it. And maybe this is the one where Chandler goes, "You know what? Screw it. I'm not going to let this young pup beat me. I'm going to do the thing that they, you see Bilal Muhammad, it looks boring, but he won the fight. You know what I'm saying? You saw, what's my guy? You saw Brady the other week, looks boring, but he won the fight. Did he pepper the shit out of the people that he was fighting? Sure, he did. Can Chandler do similar? I think so, and still make it look exciting. Stand up for a round or two, but then get on it. Then get on him. That's but and win. And point. You know what I'm saying? But who am I to judge? You know what I'm saying? Take a loss if you want to.
I think he came in. Wanting to get that that Connor fight, and so like that's the way he fought. Like that fight's never going to happen. So like just win. You got to have a win.
I'm
If
completely
Connor
with you.
ever fights again, that is the most winnable fight for him.
Yeah.
But we don't need to get into that.
If Connor ever fights again, it'd be just our luck. Both of them slug each other, and we get a double knockout like in the first round.
Let's get to the main event. It is for the vacant featherweight title. It is the return of Alex Volkanovski, who is 26-4, has been off for a full year since Ilia Topuria knocked him out. He seems healthy, looks like he's in great shape. And he is the slight favorite at minus 125. He has taken on the forever game, Diego Lopes. I mean, just this kid is on a rocket. I mean, just in a short time, who would have thought when he took a short notice fight against Mozart Evilov in his UFC debut, and it was a unanimous decision way back in just, little less than just a little less than 2 years ago, May 6, 2023. Then he would rattle off, 5 straight wins. And the last time we saw him was just in September against Brian Ortega. And here he is fighting for the title. Bobby, I'll start with you. Your preview of the main event Saturday night.
I mean, it's definitely one I'm really excited for. I'd be lying if I didn't say it's a little bit bittersweet, because when you see how great and strong the division is, you really wish Ilya just stuck around and had a few more fights. But if it's really a weight thing, that's neither here nor there. So this is the fight we have to break down. Let's get it. Initially, when this was announced, I was pretty vocal on here. I love this a lot more for Volk, because I did not really like. I know Volk wanted the Ilya rematch, because he showed some success in the first round and stuff. But personally, I didn't see that one going any other way, and I think if it would have been a back-to-back loss from Ilya, that would probably be a career at that point. But Ilya decided to not hold up the division, drop the title, and now, from where I sit, Volkanovski is right back in the driver's seat. I am not trying to discredit at all what Diego Lopes has done. But I mean, let's point out that a few of the people he's fought, Volk has beaten. And not only that, but mainly for me, I do wonder. I'm not saying Diego does not deserve this opportunity. I do question if he is actually ready for this opportunity. Because you look at how a lot of, the fights played out. Granted, the Dan Ige fight was on the most short notice in UFC history. So you kind of got to chalk that one up a little bit differently there. But, the avenues he did struggle, it looks almost perfect for the way Volkanovski is built up. Like, for me, the only really question here is, are we getting the old Volkanovski? Because, like, you go back to that, him coming off the first Islam Makhachev loss, who a lot of people thought that he won. He went back down to defend his featherweight title against Yair Rodriguez, and he looked dominant. Like, Yair was having a small amount of success in that fight, and then Volk instantly put it on and finished him in that round. And I do think the matchups are very similar when you look at the reach and stuff. But the footnotes in that is right afterwards. Like, I really wonder where Volkanovski's career would be if Charles Oliveira never got that cut. Because he gets that cut, Volk gets the call. Volk's the type of guy he is, takes the life changing money, but at the same time, it completely changed his career. Because we know, coming off the couch in, 10 days, fighting the number one guy in the world. I mean, we love the storylines and fan stuff, but there's some shit that just isn't smart. And I'm glad he got compensated for it, but stylistically, that was probably the foolish thing he could have done. And the more foolish thing he could have done was accept a fight with Ilia Topuria that soon. Like, he should have taken the year off like he did here. And granted, you have two knockouts now. So you think, hey, we've seen him go down twice. Is this really the end? But I'm sorry. And I don't mean to disrespect, like the likes of Tony Ferguson or even like BJ Penn in the later of their career. But Volk is nowhere near that stage. Okay. This guy was at the pound for pound, and he just lost to the pound for pound number one guy and Ilia Topuria, who I'm sorry to tell you, Diego Lopes ain't beaten, or a lot of other people in this division ain't beating. So if we are getting old Volk, there is no question in my mind Volkanovski gets his hand raised in this. Like, if this was before those knockouts, I'd be pounding the table saying absolutely Volk is gonna dog walk him in the later rounds and probably finish him in the fourth. However, Diego does have the style where he can, get all blitzy. And with Volk getting hit, he has, prior to getting knocked out, been, rocked before, he has been dropped. And that is the biggest question for me. Can he sustain that if he makes a mistake and Diego is able to blitz him? And where I'm at with it, I do think he will be able to hold out and get the win. I think this is going to be the biggest y'all must have forgot moment that we have seen in a really long time. And he is going to win and then go defend the title against Mosar Evlivov in like 3 months from here. And we are going to get that activity back in this spicy 145 division. So nothing personal against Diego. I know he's a fan favorite, but I think this will be a big learning moment for him. But I just don't think it's his time. And Volkanovski is going to do something very impressive in being the first guy to win a title coming off of two losses in a row and claiming the featherweight title again. We're going to have a bunch of other conversations after that. But I've talked long enough. Give me Alexander the Great.
Ooh, all right. Wit, real quick, let me ask you guys this before you pick the fight. I'll start with you, Wit. If Volk loses, is it over for him? Career over.
We're gonna lead. We're gonna lean into. Yeah, we're gonna lean into the thought, man. If Volk loses, is this the end for Volkanovski? I can say no. Um, I think that towards the end of the career of some of these fighters, especially when they lose in certain fashions, you just have to be more specific about what you want to see from them when you make these fights. Do you want to see them exert some of their better, more experienced traits in the ring, like Volkanovski can wrestle, Volkanovski can, grapple. And somewhere in there, his hands work too, but I've seen these movies before, man, where they don't know that the effect of that one knockout is echoing in their brain for a long time. Okay. And it's not as if to say he's losing a step. It's not as if to say he's, you know, too old, he's over the hill, he's past his prime. No, it's just physiologically your body has adjusted to the contact in which your someone else's hand makes to your jaw or your temple. And to protect itself, it shuts off. That is how your body works. It's simple. And I'm sorry to say that. Volkanovski, and this is me getting into where I'm going right now. Volkanovski is great. Volkanovski can do everything. I'm talking about everything in the ring, and he will go down as one of the greatest. I know that for a fact. But this is a matchup made in hell for him because he is going to have to be on pins and needles as to defend an accidental tap on the chin. An accidental. You know what I'm saying? I watched that boxing match a couple weeks ago with Martin Bacoli. Mark Hunt skinned the top of his head with the glove. Skinned it. You know what I'm saying? It would have left a skid mark on top of her head if it was on top of his head in any other case. The equilibrium was just thrown off just enough so that Mark Hunt could take advantage of it. Not Mark Hunt, but the other guy, the boxer. I can't think of his name right now. But the point is that he could take advantage of it. I feel like this is a similar fact. But will Volkanovski come out and be tentative so that he does not do what he does best? I don't think so. I cannot agree with it. I think that this is where the rubber will meet the road for Diego Lopes. I think Volkanovski will come out and do his job, will make it happen. I think this is where we really get to see. I know Bobby was saying the old Volk. I think we'll see a new Volk, a new version. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe the old one is past, and he has to without a doubt do something different. You know what I mean? He can no longer risk standing and eating two shots. The third one puts he may have to dodge. No, he's getting put down by the second shot. You know what I mean? So what will he do? Will he accentuate the wrestling more? Will he take, are we going to look at Volk taking, inexperience? And I'm not saying that Diego Lopes is inexperienced, but a fighter with less experience into the deep waters by dragging him around all day, by hanging on his body, by holding on, by doing the things that make a championship fight not interesting, but also by making a championship fighter win. That is where I think we get the vote. He may not stand up and fight with him all day because Diego Lopes got hands. He could put a guy out. But can he take this opportunity to say, I'm Volkanovski. I'm going to use my skills to fool this young man into thinking that I'm ready to stand in the middle of the ring and swing it out with him. But in reality, I'm going to let him, swing once, swing twice, catch him with a nice feint. When he moves, I'm on his ass. I'm on his legs. I'm on his knees. I'm going to make him work. I'm going to make him breathe hard. I'm going to make him do things that make him uncomfortable for 5 rounds, Volkanovski style. I think that is where his best shot of winning this match happens. Because if he stands up there long enough for 5 rounds with Lopes, I feel like it's not gonna end well. So in the end, I'm riding with Volkanovski. And I'm riding with Volkanovski on points. You know what I'm saying? I'm riding with Volkanovski on points with this one. But please, Jesus, if we see Volkanovski try to do the young man stand here, I can take it. It's going in Diego Lopes's favor, bro. And Diego Lopes is going to end him, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to look bad, and he's going to, how they go. Wow, did he have to do all of that after the fight was over? Diego Lopes is going to prove a point. If he knocks Volk out, it's going to be 2 or 3 extra strikes in there. The unnecessary. But my brain is going Volkanovski for the win, hand raised. Let's change the way that we fought the past 2 or 3 years because I could no longer do that and risk my chin being left in the air and getting taken out off a left hand I didn't see coming. You know what I mean? So once again, Volk for the dub. Sorry I talked so long. My bad.
Yeah, I plan on seeing him do a lot of damage in the guard and stuff. I, do think the plan is to definitely get the takedown, and I don't think he's going to be concerned at all about Diego's jiu-jitsu with Craig Jones in his corner.
Me neither. I agree with you. It's gonna be one of those where
Craig Jones is in Volk's corner.
Yes, he is.
Greg. I'm looking forward to the game, the plan changing, where it looks like Volkanovski is going to be ready to go. We're gonna be handed, we're gonna be having the hands up. We're gonna be looking real ready to strike. We're probably gonna get off one or two. We're gonna get him with the jab. We're gonna make him think we're coming one way. And as soon as I get him to bite on a good feint, I'm taking him against that. I'm taking him against the cage, bro. Get ready to sit down for about 45. Young man, sit down for about 20 minutes. Sit down, little boy. Come on. Sit over here. Let me show you something. I'm a whisper in his ear the whole time. Come on. You ever been in timeout? You ever been in timeout?
So here's what I'm gonna say. This is obviously a big step up for like Diego Lopes. This is his he's never even fought 5 rounds. Like this is his first 5-round main event, right? Usually there's a progression we see. Like you're gonna fight in a co-main, or you're gonna. He did kind of fight in I guess maybe a co-main. Was it the co-main? And third fight, I guess. But like usually we see right like a progression. Okay, you main event. A fight night, right? So you get that 5-round experience. Like Diego is not even getting that. This is his first ever, 5-round fight. Bobby mentioned it. This is his first time. Volk wins. Be the first time somebody wins a championship coming off 2 knockouts. Also at age 36, he would be the oldest featherweight to ever win the title. I think anybody on weight classes 170 and below at like a certain, I think it's 35 or something, have never won a title fight. At this age. But here's the thing, boys. This is what I'm gonna say. So one of the things that always go first, and the fighter never really realizes it is the chin, and Witt is coming. Witt is coming off a 2 brutal knockouts twice. Islam and obviously Ilya in a short time. Now he did take the whole year off. Looks to be in phenomenal shape. Looks to be in good spirits, but Diego Lopes looks like he's in phenomenal shape. I mean, both of them just absolutely fucking chiseled. But with that being said, I
knew it was coming because we
didn't see it all show. We didn't see it all show.
I love Volkanovski, but sometimes when the prime is over and it's over, there's only time. My dog on the card and new UFC featherweight champion of the world, Diego Lopes, baby. Give me the dog, baby. Give me Diego Lopes. He's the dog, and he's gonna be the new UFC featherweight champion. It's gonna be some new blood up in this bitch. Rest invoke. We'll put the gloves down in the octagon. And he will walk off into the sunset. But Diego Lopes, my dog on the card, and new featherweight champion of the world.
And this is precisely why I am picking Volk, because people are more or less writing his obituary thinking he's going to retire after this. Win or lose, he's not retiring.
I don't know what's left for him. What's left for him?
I mean, people forget that like he is fairly handsomely paid. And if you they could easily put him in Perth. Um, Pitbull, for one, I mean, sign me up for that. Sign me up for Aljo. Sign me I got like 10 fights I'd prefer to see Volkanovski fight in compared to Diego Lopes, the new blood. So I mean, all I'm saying is like Rob put a comment in there saying like it reminds me of Liddell vibes. Nowhere close. Like Liddell's button was getting smashed and smashed. Like you could jab him and he'd fall down. Volk has taken nowhere near that amount of damage, like in a full fight. He got knocked out brutally twice, and yes, that will affect him. But I don't think it's far enough to. We're talking about him like we're watching a Tony Ferguson fight with our hands up. Like
I don't think we're that. I just think I think it's the end of the end. I think it's the end of of Volkanovski, as we know it, and arguably the greatest featherweight in UFC history.
I think if
arguably.
they booked him with Mosavar, that would be a real possibility. And, a lot of people have been saying, oh, I think the UFC wants Diego to win for Noche and all that. I'm the opposite. I honestly feel the UFC did this to give Volk a winnable title fight because they just lost a huge star in their division.
But I
Yes, they'll
think
have the upside of
I would
using.
I would argue that Diego has become a fan favorite and can be a huge star. This guy speaks 3 fucking different languages, and he's got the look and everything else. Like I think Diego, he goes out there, and I don't think he's going to scorch folk, but I think he's going to put him out. I do think that maybe in the later rounds, in round 4, 5, somewhere like that. Real quick, we got breaking news. Hit the button here. This just come across the wire here. Ariel Hawani just tweeted, GFL has canceled its first 2 events scheduled May 24th and 25th in Los Angeles, per multiple sources confirmed by director Andy Foster. There are serious doubts about the future of the promotion. He reached out to founder Darren Owen, but no reply at this time.
Oh my God! 2 PFL matches. No.
GFL.
Yeah,
Does it say how you get refunds if you bought tickets?
Did you buy tickets, Bobby?
No, it's a terrible joke.
It's
But
okay.
and again, this is not something like I really should be like reveling in. Like that is obviously unfortunate, but
Right.
with the model they had and stuff, like you saw these guys jumping out like the last couple weeks, and something just seemed kind of bizarre. So
I told you.
yeah,
I gave it 0. I told you. I said, what do we put the over under? 1.5. I said I'll take the under.
You know what I'm not jumping out on? I'm not jumping out on Yoel Romero saying that he can't fight. Yoel Romero will fight anybody. He don't care if it's slaps. He don't care if it's grappling. Yoel Romero is showing up 45 years old. You know what I'm saying? Going to tell you about the fucking Underground Railroad in Brazil and then going to whoop your ass. All right. But back to the point. Like, listen, the Volk thing for me is a solidifying thing where Reyes will be tested way more than he's ever been. Lopes will be tested way more than he's ever been, right? Never seen 5 rounds. Probably never has gotten the opportunity to have this level of competition. I see him using this to be the champion one day. I do. I can really see that happening. But right now, Volk gets one more, and then I'm ready. And Bobby was saying it, man. I'm ready to get this old man tour started. Who is ready to put? We need to get that. Put the gloves down. Grand Prix. If you lose, we get 8 old guys and the 6 old guys in the division, maybe 4. And if you lose, you put your gloves down up until the very end, where you feel like you've done something. You know what I'm saying? Money laundering investment bros. Oh, you mean the GFL and Tyron Woodley, who had no idea that he was going to be in an AI video? Yeah, that type of stuff. Anyway, but in the end, seriously though, I can't wait to see it. Volk, I think, in all seriousness, has to change the way that he went into fights in the past. He did it 2 or 3 times, and we saw it fail miserably. But the old Volkanovski, the original Volk, that was really scary. That was like grabbing guys' ankles, dragging them across the back. Like that is where you kind of got to go and say, "Hey, look, you just can't do it like that no more." And I think that Lopes has not had the test of, hey, what y'all remember Rocky? They was like, yeah, we're gonna have, and Mick was training him. He was gonna like, you're gonna have a 13-round fight. That means you gotta train for 1,300 hours. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. If you've never been to 5, you gotta be training for 5,000 hours. And Volk, with the time that he's put in, that's like 5,000 hours times 20. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna and if he does it the way I'm picturing it in my mind, it's going to mean something against lesser prepared talent. And I'm not saying that Rez can't do it. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not saying that Lopez can't figure out a way to make it happen. But the one time, let's see if Volk can change it up and pull out the W.
I just think I think I love Alexander Volkanovski. I think his reign is it's like, again, arguably the greatest featherweight of all time, like him or Jose Aldo, and he technically beat Jose Aldo on his way to the title. And he beat Max 3 times, so they're, you know what I mean, in their primes. So
Yeah.
he has the leg over that. I just think that it's like sometimes it's gone, and it goes, and that's how the sport moves. And I think it's Diego's time, baby. I think I don't know how long he'll be the title holder, and I would I be surprised if Volk wins? No, I'm not. But I think I wouldn't be surprised, because it would be the ultimate almost you almost forgot moment. But unfortunately, I don't think we're getting it. I think Diego can put him out. We saw he made pretty good, easy work of Brian Ortega, a guy that Volk struggled with at one, you know what I mean, in their fight. Like, Ortega almost got Volk twice to tap out in that fight.
Very
So,
different Ortega, in my
Yeah.
opinion, but
Ortega's
point
scrappy.
taken.
but you could
Ortega.
say right now it's a very different Volk at this point in time too, right?
Did
So,
Vance and Ortega have one already?
Ortega and that was the last fight. Ortega and Lopez fought.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
That
You're
was
right.
Lopez's last at the Sphere.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
so yeah, you know what? Give me, this guy's got the look. He's got it all. He speaks 3 different languages. He's got the My Chemical Romance, look going. Give it all. I think this guy is a star, Bobby. I think that's where you're wrong. I think this kid is a star.
I'm not
Fan
saying he's not
favorite.
a star. I'm just saying it's not his time to ascend
It
that.
is his time. It's gonna be
Yeah.
his time Saturday night.
Saturday
And
night.
if we say a bid you adieu to the one and great Alexander Volkanovski.
He'll have a long career after he loses on Saturday, and I will still be rooting for him.
Still root for
Um, you know,
him.
he's a great guy, but it's just not his time.
Good
There's
coach too.
nothing
I
wrong
mean,
with
he's
that.
in you know what I mean. He has a good team too. Like, he's out there coaching Lupe Godinez, and is good coach. So, good story. It's a guy that. But yeah, Bob. Before we get out of here, any final thoughts on UFC 314? Anything else?
I think we pretty much summed up 314, but if you're not doing anything tomorrow, check out the PFL. Their first event actually did not completely suck, and the pacing's a lot better. It's feels like a little bit better product now that they've eliminated like all these side rules and stuff. It's just a single elimination tournament. So they're also having people fall out, but and for the record, when you said breaking news, I thought that was like Ilya Islam, and the fact it's just the GFL is canceled, like that is heartbreaking. Super troll job.
Congratulations, bro, because you had us all fooled.
Hey, I just wanted to point it out. I thought Bobby got tickets to go. I just wanted to make sure he was going to be able to get his refund.
Good looking.
Yeah, I was looking out for my guy. Whit, any final thoughts here before we get up out of here?
Nah, bro. No boxing. Nothing too much exciting right now. We still waiting about a month. We're about a month and a half away from us getting some really exciting news on some upcoming.
Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano soon.
Oh yeah, yeah, that is coming up. But I don't mean to sound sexist, but I'm talking about like other large events happening. Well, yeah, but Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, we're gonna talk about that as well. Correct.
I'll be interested to see the numbers on that. And one last boxing thing that we maybe can look into and talk about next week, but UFC is definitely trying to do away with the Ali Act, so or
Yep.
TKO, you should say.
Yep.
So Yeah, it didn't take long for yeah. Can you imagine that, Whit? That is gonna be wild.
First, Jackie Robinson gets his little statement taken off from the United States Defense Department, and now the Muhammad Ali Act is getting attacked by TKO. It's not nothing surprising me in 2025
Well, what
right
they
now.
want is
Even if I don't have it on my bingo card.
So like so it's pretty much Ali. They can get in there. The Ali Alabis, their friend, can start representing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to have their ability to close their books and not have to, pretty much show the fighters what they're making, which
Right.
is
They don't want
coincidentally exactly how it works in the UFC.
right. They
Yeah.
don't want to. Nobody wants to show their hand in order to explain how we got these guys to get in the ring with each other, but we won't pay you any. That's all.
Yeah. Real quick before we get out of here, last comment here from Rob. He said he wants to know why Bobby hates Lopes. Bobby's not an emo fan. Bobby's not an emo fan.
For the record, I don't want either of these guys to lose. I mean, that's kind of like the only downside of this weekend is that one of these guys has to lose.
Somebody's got to take it out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
But good one,
right,
Rob. That was funny.
Thanks, Rob.
You hate emo music. We understand. Not a My Chemical Romance guy. So
I have a Chemical Romance Funko Pop.
This has been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. Thanks for everybody hanging out with us. Like, subscribe, share, please. We'll be back next time. This time next week, we'll have Audio Mike Chandler back on again to talk about the fight that the results of Saturday night. So he's agreed to come back on for a little bit, and then we'll talk about the results as well of the rest of UFC 314 and what happened. So and who should go where and what. So other than that, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. For Whit, Bobby Blunt's on podcast. It's been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. We'll see you right back here next Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.